And finally, a track that didn't have... Well, to be fair, if you had a number 42 these days, you'd be quite chuffed because the charts are fucked. But back in the day, Bohemian Like You from Danny Warhols, it peaked number 42 in 2000, and then it was featured in a Vodafone ad campaign, which, I mean, Scott, is this why you were interested in this track? Is that the video had a girl in short shorts and a bikini? That might be why you and the lads mad culture of the time propelled it to number 5 in the UK. This is Danny Warhols, Bohemian Like You.
Weirdly enough, in this era, I worked in a mobile phone shop as well as a supermarket. So this was probably really relevant to my life.
Yeah.
But this was the second single from their third studio album, 13 Tales from Urban Bohemia. And like Liam said, you got off to quite a few false starts, but this had, you're saying short shorts. I remember the video being full of naked people blurred and it being banned from the TV.
The video has naked people. The Vodafone ad campaign was...
right, okay.
Yeah.
I do remember it I remember that as the song from the Vodafone advert, and I remember that being the momentum that got it into the charts, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I remember partying to this as well. Like this, for me, this looks like the original hipster stuff of the millennium, you know what I mean? Before hipsters then got pretentious hipster.
Yeah.
This was like the first thing. If you look at the style and stuff of it, now you can see how like Indie Boys came about really from the styling and stuff in this video and the attitudes and the it was pretty cool. But yeah, I loved this song. I thought that was great. It just reminds me of being on the sesh. A couple of hooks in it. You go, woohoo, woo.
Yeah.
Band set up. Yes, please. The way that they do it, really good. Hooks of the thing is great. Yeah. I've got it down as an intro just based on the drums alone at the start.
Yeah.
Generally, I like it. I was worried that there's going to be some sort of like weird historical Dandy Warhol scandals that I don't know about. You know, whenever I'm like, I love this. And you're like, well, actually, they're a cult and there's this hatred for them. Is there hatred for Dandy Warhols these days? Where do we stand?
I don't think so, really. I think generally they've aged well. I don't know what they're doing now in terms of releasing stuff. I think they're still together. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the fact that this track is an advert track, I mean, it obviously means they're a hello goodbye, because how many people have a hit from an advert campaign and then stick around for much longer than that?
Yeah.
They did have a number 18 2 years later, because the theme tune of the programme Veronica Mars, We Used to Be Friends, was big. Oh. And then in 2006, there was a mashup of this and Moose T, Horny.
Oh, yeah, there was. Uh-huh.
They got to number 17. So, yeah, they've done bits and bobs. I really like this too. I think I know it from the ad campaign first and foremost, but I've heard the track a lot over the years as well, because it has just stuck around. And I think you're right to say that even though the song is kind of like... They're talking about a certain kind of person. You know, there's mention of like vegan food, and there's other sort of references to this Bohemian lifestyle. What would have been called Bohemian back then is actually quite just normal now, and it's catching on more and more. There is a very unpretentiousness about this, and maybe you are right that this is kind of an early version of this kind of track, whereas in a few years' time when the Razorlights of the world come about, we've mentioned Land for Lindy before on TNNX, maybe this kind of predates all of that and actually comes out looking quite unaffected by the pretension that it could have been affected by.
Yeah.
And as such, it's just a joyous party tune. Like, if this comes on, it's a bit of a karaoke classic too, and they kind of make the most of that in the video, because it actually has karaoke bits in the video. It has lyrics across the screen. There is bits where people are in a karaoke bar singing to it, and I love that. Mm-hmm. It's funny when you have those songs where it has karaoke in the video, and clearly they knew it would be that kind of song before it even came out, or maybe they wrote it like that, or like there's quite a lot of videos that have karaoke of the person singing the song that hasn't even come out yet, but clearly it's been positioned in such a way.
Yeah.
My note this week has the word boobs and willy. The video, in quite a childish way, has got boobs and willy, which, as you say, are uncensored in some videos, but there is versions that do have it uncensored, because I search for them. And what can I say?
Is there uncensored versions?
Yeah. If you go certain places, there is uncensored versions. 10 out of 10, certainly.
And are they properly naked in that?
Yeah.
Are they properly...
Like the
I've gone giddy.
The waiter in the restaurant, he's fully hanging dong. Yeah.
That's shocking, because I remember thinking that it must have been like a Holly Valance kiss kind of a thing, because I thought it must have just been like some sort of skin coloured covering. Because, and this is how far we've come with body hair and pubes, is that there didn't seem to be much in the way of like dark blur in the blurriness of it. So it was like, have these people been Ken dolls and Barbie dolls for their existence with no hair, or is there something actually on there? But if you're saying that there's actual schlong and all sorts in it, then dearie me. I'm not going to Google it, but
I've got to be honest, I can't remember seeing the state of the pubes as to see whether there would be any kind of black marks that you couldn't see. I didn't analyse it that closely. Analysed it fairly closely, I'm not going to lie, but not that closely. So this track being significant as an advert track, as we've mentioned, it kind of became big from an advert, which you'd think maybe for a band like this who, although this song isn't pretentious, they are an indie band and there's always a bit of that there, you wonder how they would take to the fact that their success is largely down to capitalism. Mm-hmm. There's a quote here from the guitarist Pete who says that he's okay with the commercialisation of the tune. I can imagine some wouldn't be, but equally, I'm sure they've got lovely houses and mortgages and cars and stuff off the back of that Vodafone campaign, because it was around for a lot of years and it was huge.
Yeah, it was huge, actually. It was around for a long time, a very long time. Yeah, that was the thing. So that was a movement maybe in 2000 and maybe 9-10 as well. It was a thing that you did, but just because of the way that charts and things have changed, to break through, there was a lot of people tried to get advert deals, and it's still an approach now, and it is a much more acceptable approach because of the nature of charts and trying to get the attention that you needed. But obviously you've got to try find a brand that matches you, and then these new brands come along and then like 2 years later they're getting ripped by papers because of the way that they're treating staff or the way that they're doing stuff. But yeah, I remember this being like a bit of a guide for some of the people. So at this point we've talked about I've moved schools and I've gone into like different styles of people, and a lot of indie kids who thought they were too cool for school and were potentially smoking stuff behind huts and all of that kind of crack during school hours because but they wouldn't have just smoked it and gone back to class. They would have smoked it and told someone they were smoking it so that everybody knew they'd smoked it, not because they wanted to smoke it, because they wanted people to think that they did. But body language has changed. Whenever you knew certain people in the upper sixth room like this track, it was as if it was like a guide for them about how to act and how to hold themselves and how to look cool. And body language from some of the idiots that I knew at this point changed because of this song. And I was just, obviously I looked like a complete and utter tool because I just loved it and danced around to it and did my stuff on nights out and all of that kind of crack. But yeah, it influenced people in ways that you could never really have expected, and people did the weird stuff because of it.
Yeah, interesting that this feels like a culturally significant song in that regard then, for your generation especially.
Yeah, definitely for me.